Hi, Chris Delion here from hobbygamedev.com with another short video reply to a question received to @hobbygamedev. Today's question comes from King Speaka @Herschel2011wood. The gist here is someone who's interested in doing game design specifically with gaming ideas for fighting games. And the question being, there's not a lot of information they can find. They know it might take some college classes, but what kind of classes should they be looking into? And I want to begin by clarifying that, so if you want a job as a professional game developer, hey, there's degrees of specialization. Depends if you want to be a programmer on a project, if you want to be doing art and animation. Of course, those are going to affect different lines of educational credentials that can help land you in those kind of opportunities doing it professionally. However, and of course who you've contacted here is Hobby Game Dev. One of the things I like to stress is that there's not quite the same thing to say, do I need a job doing this as I want to make something. I want to make a fighting game. I want to get involved. I've got game ideas for fighting games. Because oftentimes people wind up down a path in life where, they begin because they have their own game ideas that they want to realize. And what they eventually find is that if what they have is a career in game development, they're of course being paid often to implement somebody else's ideas. And even if they find to the top of the pecking order, they then find that they're being paid by customers to implement what the customers want. And so there's some conflict and tension there. And of course the hobby community, what's so great about it is that you can always get practice just making whatever games you want to make, and you don't have to answer to either an employer, you don't have to answer to customer demands. And so an example of where this goes on in the fighting game community is a great hobbyist project called Mugen, content created by the community and thousands of fighters, original and from popular fiction. It originally was a DOS project. It's been around since 1999, although if you check it out, it's been updated now already still, every few years since, and the community's always pouring in more projects. But people have done famous cartoon characters, people have done custom characters and animate characters from other fighting games. Because one of the challenges we run into is that if which project you want to make is beyond the level of sophistication you're likely to program from the ground up, the way that we do for kind of a lot of other indie hobby-style scope of games. If you're interested primarily in kind of the character creation aspect and the fighting moves and the mechanics and the art, in which case I might recommend exploring Mugen and creating characters for that as a way to kind of, get your feet in the water, figure out if it's something that you like. And needless to say, this is also the sort of thing which is a type of experience which, going forward, could help connect you to other collaborators in the future for commercial projects, could help supplement your portfolio with demonstrating art that you've done for fighting game characters. But it's just a good way to kind of get into there and get doing it. I wouldn't wait until after you've taken classes to start getting experience. Oftentimes, people who get the most out of the kind of classes out there are people who have already tried it on their own first, found what barriers they personally are running up against, and then in their pursuits through whether it's an art and animation related schooling, whether it's computer programming related, whether it's some other direction having to do with art or design or even production level type of skill sets for games. It's going to help to have some experience doing it before you're looking at those career tracks. Also, it'll help you figure out if you like doing it. Sometimes, there's a bit of a gap between what we might imagine ourselves we like doing and whether or not we like it when we start doing it. You can get started today immediately. Just look up Mugen, get started with it. There's quite a sizable community built around it. People can probably answer some questions, help you get started. I imagine some pretty decent tutorials out there. But if you're specifically interested in making fighting style games, check it out. And no matter who you are out there, if you're interested in making games, I would encourage you to not think of it as, okay, I'm going to start making the game I want to make someday, or I'm going to start making the game I want after I get hired someday at some company and work my way up the ladder. You can start work today on any game you want as long as you've got some patience, some flexibility, some willingness to work within your own constraints and learning as you go. So this is Chris Delion for hobbygamedev.com. As always, if you have more questions, tweet them at me at hobbygamedev, and I'll have some more content for you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.